Hey guys, thank you for coming to She Gets It podcast. This is a great show for you. It is a 2-part episode. Happy Sunday and things. This will drop on Sunday. I'm just prepping it, and I appreciate you guys for listening in. I appreciate the new Apple podcast reviews that are on Apple. There are other platforms to review She Gets It podcast, so just Google it, scroll down, subscribe. Share what you like on the show. You can find me on She Gets It Pod on IG, She Gets It Pod on Twitter. If you're looking for some merch to support the show, and I appreciate it, you could go to www.whoisshan.com. That's Shan with a C, not a S. And if you go to the shop page, there's a whole bunch of different shops that I created to go ahead and provide merch. If you guys want merch and artwork, it's on there. You know, I appreciate it. Let me know. And let's get into the show today because we are talking about colorism. All right. Something real from one of my throwback people. Got Nick motherfucking Murray. All right. Disclosure also. The N-word is used throughout the show and the second episode. Not overly used, but it is used. So if you are at work or a corporate workplace, or if that does bother you, this is your warning, because I'm not, I'm not clueless about the fact that that word is heavy for some people, but it was used in the context of understanding, if you will. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. Thank you for checking out She Gets a Pod. Nick Murray. Nick Murray.
Oh, what's up, my sister?
Plant galore? You're shitting on me.
Huh?
Plant galore.
Oh yeah.
How is your oxygen, nigga?
Good over here, baby.
Ooh, wee, you shitting on me.
Yeah, we got to keep out them COVIDs. So I got to.
That is not playing. I like it.
Yeah, you know.
Man, if I would have known what was going to happen just a while ago, I would have just kept our original time. Let me tell you about this Zoom. So we had over 200 something people in the Zoom, right? For this new platform called Verbal. Mm-hmm. And some badass kids hacked it 10 minutes into the Zoom. They took over all controls, and all you heard is nigga. While everybody's talking, and the people are trying to like introduce the platforms of podcasters. Nigga. Who the fuck is that bitch with the double chin? And I'm just like, yo, what is going on? And so the instructor on there is like this the whole time. And they're trying to like figure out like how they can control it. And they just basically, they hacked the link and took over the whole fucking Zoom, and they just had to cancel it.
Damn.
How secure is your site that some teenagers can some teenagers can hack that shit?
I don't know. That shit was so funny and not funny at the same time.
Somebody kids got a hold of that link.
That's crazy. So all right, Nick, we back.
What's up, sister?
We back.
Hold on, let me go ahead and download my Swahilian vernacular, my sister, talking this tone. What's up, my Nubian?
You're a nut. All right. Okay, Nick, you're not a stranger. You're not a stranger.
Nah.
I'm gonna address you like how you are in my phone. In my phone, it says Nick a motherfucking Murray. Okay.
Yes.
And that name has been the way for me since Urban Outfitters days. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way
Yeah.
to sum you up, Nick motherfucking Murray. Like the fuck.
Be-
So
Beautiful, one of a kind self.
listen. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So we have we always have a dope chat on
Right.
social media by text
Right.
too. So I'm just like, okay. So we always sharing thoughts and funny things, not so funny things, black things, because black is wealth things. And
Mm-hmm.
this one right here, I think is very important. You wanted to discuss it. I had thoughts
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are talking, are we still suffering and dealing with colorism with black and brown people? And we want to figure out what that is about. So welcome to She
Oh,
Gets
for
It,
sure.
because we gonna get
Got you.
into
Got
it.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
so first of all, what is colorism for you?
Mm. Colorism for me is something that is prevalent in this invisible thing that's always in the room because
Mm.
I feel like just my own personal experience being dark skinned, I feel like there's a focal or a focus
Mm-hmm.
on where I fall in that and decisions that I make, and that could be something that's clear as day, just being transparent. That could be like who I choose to date will
Yeah.
always kind of be a focus, um, and it will probably be like amongst my own friends, my own people, or the people that I date. So I could date a light skinned woman,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had a light skinned woman say, "Well, hey, I think you're dating me because you're the closest. I'm the closest thing that you'll get to white without
Wow.
having to go to white." So
Wow.
then dated a dark skinned woman after that, and then it was like, I think you're dating me because to solidify your blackness, because you really want to be with a light skin or a white woman. And it was just like, I feel like the central focus on what I decide to do, who I decide to date, and
Mm-hmm.
it will always mean something to the other person or other people. Um, you know, I've dated a white woman before,
Mm-hmm.
and I got people who spoke to me as if that was just something that I do. I like, okay, that makes sense. You
Mm-hmm.
you date white. It was almost like they were surprised that I dated black women, that I date black women.
Yeah.
It was like, but I always kind of felt like being dark skinned, it was just always this focus of like, your skin, your color, and how your peers perceive that. And that's just dating.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we all go through the school of joning at school, and joning always kind of centralized like my skin of, oh, you purple, right?
Yeah.
Or like, let me fuck around and have a little bit of ash on these hands. Oh,
You
yeah,
done fucked up. Yeah.
yeah. So, or yeah, man, just different jokes throughout. Just like, I remember, man, like when we had the foreign exchange students
Mm-hmm.
at my school, it was just like, man, I didn't even want to be around a bobo, because I know when they get the
A
Jordan, they're gonna say, oh,
Bobo.
oh, oh, that's Nick's shadow over there. That's your African shadow.
I
So it's just
cannot.
like, it's something that's like, I think, you're out here just living your life, and then you kind of get reminded, as
Yeah.
as many black people, that's our experience. You get reminded of, you know, your skin tone and how the worth and the value of that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's always interesting. It never goes away. It's just it's there.
Yeah. I think colorism, it's just negativity is like this cloud that follows you because you came in the world like you are. And then people and organizations just have this hate towards you because your skin is not worthy enough, or your skin is just despicably hated and ugh, like you do something about that, fix that. Like you just came in the world wrong. And that's how people who experience colorism feel. For me, having two parents that were Jamaican with a my mom has like a reddish brownish tone about her. I don't know how to explain it. And then my dad's skin was like a very uh, mahogany, like a deep mahogany brown. And then growing up, my family's complexions they changed. My mom was like really, 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 really just probably Hispanic tone type of skin, right? And then she got bronze over the years. And in Jamaica, sorry, in Jamaica, I got an alarm for one of my friends to make him go read for his certification because I'm a good friend. In Jamaica, they deal with a lot of colorism as far as like, if your skin is lighter, then you'll be better or you're automatically prettier because your skin is lighter. So my mom is one of 13. All of my aunts and uncles are different like shades of brown. So imagine having to deal with that um, heaviness while having siblings. So that was a thing. And then till this day, I still have, relatives, aunts who bleach their skin. That bleach cream is right under their sink, and they live in the United States and they have kids. And I can tell the way that they treat their nieces or their nephews or cousins depending on their skin tone, and I don't like that. So there's a lot of relatives that I have that I haven't introduced my daughters to because my daughters are a lighter skin tone, and I don't want them to have this mindset that their complexion makes them better than somebody else and not their character. So I don't even merge those vibes. And today I think with the media, and then everybody's thoughts is all mixed up in the bunch, and you have to see it instantly when you wake up. You see it on Twitter, you see it in the movies. Why are people with this skin tone or that come from this area constantly getting these roles? Why can't they be this in a movie or a show? And it's all of that we're constantly battling with because we came in the world with all this melanin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely have experienced that, and I definitely can relate to that for sure. But yeah, because it's this weird thing of just kind of like, I described to you like within our diaspora, my pocket of our people, but then too it's like outside of that, then you see how the world also sees that and project that. I'm lucky that like although in comparison it's limited, but I'm lucky that I was raised I was born in the 80s and got to be raised in the 90s and in the 2000s. So I got to see, a Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, Martin Lawrence, you know, a lot of guys that had, I think, what Mr. Cooper, who was definitely, on a certain side of Brown.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. You know, Living Single. You had Max, and I forget
Yes.
the guy. I forget the guy
Kyle.
that Kyle. Like,
Yeah.
you had like Love Jones. You had Isaiah Washington. So I got to see blacks in the arts in be my color. Oh, Wesley Snipes too.
Yeah.
Big dark skin.
Chocolate.
Energy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got to see that. You don't really see that as much, like especially like if you think about like from comedic to acting world, like the main comedian, I would say Kevin Hart. Like as
Okay.
far as like that comes up, like
Yeah.
if he was like the Drake of the comedians,
Yeah.
like he's like the poster boy. He's dark, but there was like a long line, a long list that I just gave you of like dark, prominent men, and then of course, obviously, I gave you men and I gave you one woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot more women. But yeah, if you go down that list, it's like more dark skinned men, dark skinned women.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the list is um, definitely shorter. You know,
Yeah, I
um,
think now, especially for men of your deep chocolate tone that looks delicious, I think that y'all get marketed now as being like, behold, a very black,
yeah,
black, black, beautiful man that's going to wear my clothing and do my ad because he's going to get me attention for my brand. And I know why they're doing it. It's an exploitation, but it's an exploitation in a way where they get away with the fact that, look, I use someone black that's really, really, really dark. So that means I can't at all be racist, or,
right,
this brand can all be racist because look who I use. And I think it's like this trend now to go to the deepest rooted places of beautiful black people and get someone who's tall, who's slender, who can probably be taught how to walk on a runway and really be like the eye-catching model for my show or represent my
yeah,
brand in the best way. And I'm just like,
yeah.
do I
You
like
always,
it? No.
yeah, you always gonna have two polar opposites. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like the light. I'm sorry, but the light skins, they can go with anything. They're definitely. I feel like it's kind of like, I know this is not a word, but I don't want to create a word, but it's like exoticized, or they get put in the exotic, we get
Yeah.
put in the fetishized. So it's not like we're the fetish, they're the exotic. They
Right.
can go with anything, but you got to have your one black model. She's got to
Hmm.
have those, and she's got to have an exaggeration of the features. She's got to
Yeah.
be very dark. She's got to have like the sharpest cheekbones. She's
Yeah.
got to have the biggest lips.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, just to say, hey, we've got our one. We
Yeah.
made our quota.
I
You know what I'm
hate
saying?
it.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, and it's almost funny too if you watch like movies and stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? The male celebrity or the white blue-eyed celebrity is going to have the light skin, the racially ambiguous woman,
Hmm.
and then, like, of course, then depending on, I guess, the man, they're also going to have him with the darkest woman, and he's probably done that. He's probably dated her for a
Yeah.
moment in
Yeah.
his life,
Yeah.
like a Hugh Grant. You know what I'm saying? I got one in.
Hmm.
Um, but it still feels like better size. Really, it's like I got the. It's almost like being like, yo, being like, I know, because I'm not a phone posit or Michael Jordan or Jordan fan,
Yeah.
right? And I don't want to like compare women to shoes, but it's almost like a fanatic will be like, I like this particular Jordan, and it may be like the ugliest Jordan,
Hmm.
or it may be the one that's like not easy on the eyes,
Hmm.
and they're like, I've got this. That shows you that I'm really a fan because I got this not so popular vintage. I feel
Yeah.
like that's how like white men see like, black dark women is like, oh yeah, I'm really down. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I got a
yeah,
collector's item.
right. Yeah, like y'all, okay, yeah, y'all drink wine, but y'all drinking the good tasting wine, the white wine. I got this dark one. I got
Right.
this Malbec, I got this Cabernet,
It's,
this rich one.
it's nuts. It's kind of like when you really see two people in love in real life compared to what you've seen on the TV and social media and on movie sets. Is their love real, or are they just fetishizing each other? And it's kind of like,
Yeah,
I don't want to have to think that about two people who just chose each other. Like maybe that love is really legit, and maybe our minds are fucked because we've been so engulfed in theater and shows and social media being phony about it and having a different reason for it. Whereas if we see it in real life, there's no way he loves her, or there's no way she really loves him. She's just with him for the money, or her family must have money. That's why he's there. Like maybe they just love each other, and maybe they just happen to come into the world from different ethnicities and meet, and they merge and they work.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
It's,
It's funny, man.
it sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's funny, man, because like it really got like it really got us all kind of some level of mind fuck. Like I've heard so many things. Like I've had like this I had this coworker slash friend who's like she's her skin tone is kind of like the skin tone that you were kind of describing, where it's almost like it's like a dark terracotta. It's like brown but kind of on the reddish.
Yeah.
And there was these guys at work that we were all new. We all got hired at the same time, and you know the women were talking about like the guys that like on their list, like who's hot and stuff. And they naming off these guys, and I was like, "Oh man, y'all ain't talking about my man's right here." And he was Puerto Rican, buff dude, you know, had a beard. I'm like, "Yo man, y'all ain't talking about my man's right here." And she's like, "Nah, he's too pretty. Like I don't date." Like
That's
like, and that's what most women. Yeah, that's what most women were saying about him, was like, "Oh, he's too pretty." Like, you know, and I kind of felt like because he's like what super like light and his features are prominent, that like he was put in a realm where like that's just unattainable. He ain't gonna ever be loyal to you.
Yeah.
Gonna have to flatter him.
It's like, do I want the person that I have to walk around and be in life with and be on defense from everybody that can't act right, even if they can act right? Or do I want the person where I can walk in a room and everybody relax? And I know how great they are. It's a thing, especially with women. Women, small waist, big bust, big butt, thighs, brains, hair. There's a lot that comes with that, because every man is gonna try to shoot his shot, even when if she with you, to see how manly you are, and even when she not with you. And it's kind of like, do you have the security, not the insecurity, the security within yourselves to be like, I'm good. Like I trust that they can handle themselves and blah, 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 blah. So it is a lot that comes with the pretty girl syndrome and the pretty boy syndrome, especially today, because I think society has women's minds warped with, if she's pretty, if she's naturally pretty, and then she could get dressed and she could dress too, and she has real hair. Well, I don't know how much these men care about real hair now. If she has like just features that every man wants.
First of all, I feel like real hair is like is rare.
Yes.
Like, it's rare.
Yeah.
Especially like, it's just rare. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like
it's there.
It's on the top of the list for men who want a quote unquote real woman. Like if you got real hair, like shoot, I will take 10 ways that you're fucked up just because I could be like, I'm with a woman with real hair. You know what I'm saying? Especially long hair for Black women. That's a thing.
I'm a natural hair man myself. I mean, I appreciate the wig, and I appreciate the woman's I appreciate the woman's ability to have different mediums for their looks. But you talking about like a woman that has like those styrofoam heads and different wigs to go with different bags and different looks. I'm not. No.
Nick said he cannot. That's above his level. I mean, and I listen, and I feel like men and women deserve to choose the people that suit them. If you know that's not the type of woman you're going for, I don't feel like you should be chastised for it. And a lot of people chastise you for it, for not wanting that, and that's not fair.
Listen, I feel that. I feel that too, because I feel it, but at the same time, I feel like you should be challenged just a little bit.
Yeah,
you should be challenged, because there is definitely some dark I can say the N-word on here.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely some dark nigga hurt out here. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? There is definitely some hurt dark nigga energy, bro.
Yeah.
It's almost it's niche, right?
Yeah.
It's like we will always have this silent internal war with white boys and light skinned boys.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like there's a certain like I try to be me. Like I try not to even like when someone asks me about like, you know, who I date, like I try to be me, and I also try to be like mindful of who I'm having this conversation with, because like I don't really owe you anything at the end of the day, because someone's always gonna have, you know, an opinion, but like there is a certain science to like I've told my friend like honestly, I go for my confidence and never been like I've never been like yo I'm the finest, sexiest, hottest.
Yeah.
No, they want me. I've always been like a vibe type person. I'm confident in the realms that I occupy. Like I feel confident there, and I go off of vibes. And my whole thing is like I would tell my friends, and they probably wouldn't even see it until I've made them aware. Like we can be going in a mall setting or like anywhere like that's a group of women, and there would be like one or two light skins, maybe three. The ratio will always be off. It would be like a one light skin, four dark skinned women, whatever, just a group. When I walk past them, the dark skinned sisters don't really look at me. Like we don't make eye contact. It's always like me and the light skin. Like we make eye contact. And it's not to say like in those groups, because I'm a man, you know what I'm saying? I see them, I'm scanning all of them. Oh damn. But it's always that one that's like, she may not even be the baddest in the clique, but it's just like she made eye contact with me. And I'm like, okay. That to me is a silent confirmation that like, okay, she's choosing a brother. You know what I'm saying? But like too, I also feel like the silent war is always like it's always with the light skins, it's always that certain light skin that's like, and a friend of mine was like talking to me about it, like the difference between like if it's she's like you could tell when the type of level of biracial that she is. It's like you can tell when the father is white and the mother's black versus the father being black, the mother's white.
Now this is a science because I ain't never heard of this.
How can you tell? And it's no well, because it was like her whole thing is like, you know, a black woman raising her daughter, right?
Yes.
Is she's going to like mold her a certain way. She's gonna mold her a certain way no matter what the color she is. Versus, you know, the white mom is a little different. The world is your oyster type thing. You know what I'm saying? And I know about blackness as much as I know about the man that I had a child with, but by all intents and purposes, you are my child, and you still got, you know, your privilege card. And it's like, you know, they're a little different. Like it's hard to explain, but it's always like that level of light skin that's kind of like, you know, her name is like Rainbow or
that's that hippie life.
Yeah, she's like on that level, like the black girl that's like the goth girl is probably, you know what I'm saying? In my era, in my millennial era, it was like, okay, she's like the Fifi Dobson, basically. You remember her? Like like her, she's gonna be a little different, and she's mostly gonna date white guys. And if she does date a light-skinned guy, it's gonna be a biracial guy that she can relate to. But it's never the dark-skinned brother. Because that's been my experience where I'm like, me coming up, like I knew a lot about myself, but it was by like what boxes I didn't check. Like I knew like big hip hop fan, but I knew I was a big alternative rock fan. I knew that like I valued a lot of other stuff other than just what they were giving to us, which was
is
rap
all
music.
black music, by the way.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But it's like, it was just like I knew that like for instance, I was like one of the few black kids that was skating. And it was like I just know I liked it. Liked to go fast. Liked the shit. Like the culture and stuff like that. And it was like this big thing of just like, man, like, oh my god, you're acting white. And
Listen, we have so, and that's the thing, Nick. We have so much levels of internal wars with blackness beyond somebody not liking us, but with our skin. It's like we have a level of how black am I if I'm black?
Yeah.
Are you country black, or are you you about to lose your black card black? Do you know how to cook this, or do you not how to cook this? You're not black enough.
You want pronunciation away with your
yes.
nigga, or you're a nigger.
You know what kind of shoes you wearing? You wearing Vans? Those are white boy shoes. I remember when Vans were white boy shoes. It's just like you. It's just so much like even for and it's different for black boys and black girls, because black girls got a whole nother set of black internal wars that we deal with. Black boys have their own set, but when it comes to colorism, that's that outside shit, right? First, and then there's a level of internal among black people. What is our colorism issue?
But too, as much as you know, I'm talking about like that experience of like, man, like you being like this alternative like black kid, and you like, you know, the light skinned girl who's like always got like, you know, the FKA Twigs type girl that's got like the white boyfriend. Like, but could you imagine? I know, yeah. Could you imagine like it's definitely someone's reality if we can imagine this, but like there's somebody right now, some dark-skinned dude that's probably into Slipknot, probably into like art and shit, who likes this dark-skinned girl who's got a white boyfriend. And it's like, how come those two can't come together? Like, and I'm sure that there are experiences where they do, but I'm sure there has been times where it's like this dark skinned guy was into like this brown skinned woman, or this dark skinned woman. It was like, but what they are into is so opposite of like what you would think, but also is their right too to like. But my thing is like I've gotten to the point where like I've never defend anything. Like I'll tell like my perspective of my thought process. But even with like people who subscribe to being a Republican, because there's like this thing they're trying to fuel now, which is, you know, like politically African Americans are like they're conservative. And it's this whole like idea of like, you know, hey, guess what? You know, more and more black people are voting Republican, which is like this whole big distraction anyway, because it's not even about that. Argument is usually posed by people who voted for Trump, and that the Trump shit is just like a subsidiary of the Republican party. It's probably a branch within its own self, but like I don't argue with those people. Those are your views. Now I might argue with the whole idea of like when someone says like, you know, think for yourself. Black people are not monolithic. You know, and they associate that with being like, I'm free. Like I have free thought. Like maybe you don't think about this. And I'm just like, man, let's keep it on the subject of what these branches with their foundation and what they stand for. Let's keep it about that. But I don't ever argue or try to defend anything that I do with people, because you got to know your audience. If you want to know me, I'll tell you like, you know, I predominantly date black women. That's just the foundation. I love black women. But even in that, I've learned not to have that argument or find myself in those times to have those conversations, because just listening to myself, what that sound like? That's what a man gonna say, or that's what a person gonna say. Well, no, I've dated black women now.
Yeah,
like You know what I'm saying?
I just
But,
hate
you
that
know,
anybody, whether you're black, white, Indian, Hispanic, I hate the fact that when outside people see you with the person that chose you and the person you're choosing, when they ask you, so how did you guys meet each other? It's this alter question that comes with that.
yeah.
Do you hear this? Do you hear this silence? Yes, this is a space where your ad could be played about your product, where your ad could be played about your business, about your show, because I believe we can all be great on different shows and platforms. So if you're looking for ad space right now, your ad could be playing here instead of me talking and instead of this silence. So next time when I do an episode and you want to promote your show, your business, or your services, hit me up at shegettsitpod@gmail.com. Now back to my show. Back to my show. Don't say I never gave y'all anything. I'm giving you this space to be great. How the fuck did you end up with this white girl? Like, how the fuck did you end up with this Asian lady over tons of black women that will probably want to be with you? Why did you choose her over us? And I feel like it doesn't have to be that. Why do I have to be on defense to prove to you why I love this person, or why I'm in this relationship, or why I'm in this marriage, or why I love my biracial Asian and black children?
Man, it's almost like, you know, hearing this is almost like let me think for a minute, because I gotta kind of switch what I code what I say, because for the sake of my job. Can't draw no names. So I work from home.
Yeah.
And I work in a level of home support that, you know, when people call in, you know, there's hackers out there, or people who are scammers that that cause issues and scam people.
Yeah.
So they'll call in either accusing me, the employee that represents this company, that was really victimized and lied on, because their names and stuff is being used to be scammed. The person usually asks me, and they'll say, how do I know that you're really a representative of this company? What's your badge number? I'm just like, you know, my company, you know, the company I work for, that's not how we speak. That's not how we code. Like, that's not how we actually coexist together. Like when I talk to a fellow employee, we don't say, I don't say, yeah, my number is this. We don't have like a clearance like that.
Right.
So so I try to navigate from that conversation with the caller, because there is no way. That's your way of trying to figure out and try to solidify me, like, okay, yeah, he's definitely you're going to be frustrated, and it does frustrate them. I feel like that's the same thing when you're in those issues, in those situations or scenarios where someone's trying to like prove your blackness while who you dated. It's like what I gotta like tell you, like I don't eat plain cornflakes and milk. Like I don't eat Miracle Whip. Like what I gotta like tell you and explain to you.
And if I ate it, so the fuck what? There's still black people in 2021 choosing to eat chitlins, and I will never understand it. Me not eating chitlins to make me any less black.
Nah. Yeah. Yo, man, I remember seeing this skit on Key and Peele, where the way they set it up, they didn't really go too deep into the backstory. It was like really quick. It was like two guys who came back to their neighborhood working on a development project. So they're sitting like, hey man, I'm so glad that we were able to bring this project to this neighborhood, man, and keep it historic, keep it black. So they're eating at a soul food place. And so one guy orders and he's just like, hey, you know, let me go ahead and get the catfish, black eyed peas, and let me get some of that collard green. And gotta get that cornbread. And then another guy, he's like, okay, well, let me go ahead and get the fat back. And and then let me get some of that hog bog. Yeah. And are you guys still slow cooking those neck bones? Let me go ahead and get a plate of those. Oh, how many? 10. Let me get. And then they try to like outdo each other.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you were saying about like, you know, people, I have heard that and I have experienced that, like, oh, you ain't black and you ain't eating like this. Because I'm from South Carolina. That's my home state. I grew up in Atlanta, but that's that, you know, that's that deep, like, oh, you don't eat neck bone?
Yeah. Right. Even if it comes down to what we do. Oh, you know, I'm about to go around the corner to such and such house. We about to play spades. You coming through? Nah, I don't play spades. What the fuck you mean you don't play spades? All black people play spades. That's not true.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, there's some movies that I gotta get under my belt and I've gotta like watch. Mm-hmm. But I am kind of like that when someone's like, if they say like The Color Purple, I'm like, what school did you go to?
Yeah,
school. Like, what was that education play? What do you mean you ain't seen The Color Purple?
I got a friend, a best friend that has never seen The Color Purple.
Bruh, I kind of feel like it's kind of like not to compare, but it's like it's almost like for me, I'm seeing more people. It's fascinating. It fascinates me, but I know there's a school of thought of like, for instance, like me, my teeth are crooked. I'm not, you know, going on. I'm 36, going on 37. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna be one of those people that I see. I'm seeing more and more older people like getting their teeth corrected.
Oh yes,
braces and stuff like that. And I'm just like, that's some shit that I feel like I would have went through. Like I would have been okay to go through as a kid. I can't imagine. It's kind of like my friend who has like, he grew up and his friends kind of like, I mean, his legs butterfly. He's got one of those legs that go out.
The duck feet.
As a kid, his parents probably should have went through the hard, you know, experience or had those things broken and then so they can heal correctly. Yeah. As a grown person, like I'm just like, yo, if you haven't watched The Color Purple, like it's not something. I'm glad that I got it out the way because it's not something I would like to revisit. Like I'm not gonna like be excited to be like, hey baby, look, guess what? You know we're gonna be. You know what tonight is? Yes,
Netflix and chill, Color Purple for 3 hours.
Color Purple. So I was hoping that maybe we could go ahead and just watch The Color Purple and then have a little break, a discussion about it, and then we can go ahead and, depending on how we feeling, we can just leave that there, come back to it tomorrow. But then we can go to something lighter, like Roots. I couldn't go through those films again.
If you were in film and you were with somebody that was also in film, maybe that's something that y'all would find enjoyable. But the reality is that's a no.
Like as an adult, I'm glad that I got exposed to those things. I got to make time for that type of stuff. Because I remember one day, like people were just telling me about 12 Years a Slave, and I was just like, man, that's like I saw the previews, and I was just like, man, that's heavy. And then I was just like, man, I got to make some time for this. I got to make time for this. I got to be in the right space. And I remember the thing about 12 Years a Slave. There's never
a right time
for that, like the right time. Because when I watched that, let me tell you, I know we were joking, but I did just that. Like I watched 12 Years a Slave, and then I was like, okay, I'm getting to a stopping point. I'm gonna come back to it. I have to take a break from it. I could not watch it through. I had to take a break from it. And when I finally finished that beautiful film, I was just like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Because I know I was supposed to hang out with you, Zach, but I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah. For your own benefit. I want to save a life today.
Yeah. You know what, Samantha? No, I'm not meeting at the park today. No, Samantha. Like, but yeah, that shit will fuck up.
You have to watch that when you don't have to be around other ethnicities that
you have to
for like 2 days after you've seen it, so you can mentally digest it. So when I
You have
watched
to watch
40,
that.
I watched 40 Years a Prisoner on HBO. It's on there right now, where all those Black people in Philadelphia basically wanted to make their own community, be like, you know, teaching their kids at home, not dealing with the government, growing their own foods. And basically, the police department basically looked at them as terrorists and basically tried to starve them out, gas them out with their
That's it.
kids and everything.
Is that the story where they bombed a neighborhood in
Yeah,
Philly?
yeah. So they basically killed people, Black people, just basically wouldn't let any other people that lived on that street go to their houses because they was barricading them, nobody in and nobody out unless they're gonna be arrested type stuff. It got to that point. And there was a whole bunch of racial tension. But after I watched that film, I cried. I cried like you thought I lost somebody, because you just saw the transition of what that left with the next generation and the next generation, and how the people that were involved in that, some of them died, some of them were in prison. They couldn't, every time they went up for their parole hearing, they would deny them. This guy in there didn't meet his parents since he was a baby until they got out, and they was like deep in their 60s. Like, this shit was so fucked up. And I said, oh, I'm so glad this is quarantine. I ain't gotta go nowhere. I ain't gotta be around nobody of other ethnicity, because it's like you build up enough hatred within yourself from what you've seen that you would have to give it to somebody. And you don't want to give it to somebody that doesn't deserve it. So that's why Black people have to have their time after they see certain things, which really baffles me as to why in history we had to watch The Root for weeks on VHS in school.
Yeah.
Like, that is not compassionate to the fact that there are people of that ethnicity in this classroom. They're not going to digest it the same. Is that a film that needs to be watched in the classroom?
Yeah. There's a brother by the name of Freddie Gibbs.
I love him.
A published brother. He said something to the degree of like, you know, they show us those movies to remind us.
Yes.
He just like reminding us. And it's funny because it's like, then there's this on the other side of that conversation, it's this discussion about Blacks in fantasy. And because we have that history, I feel like people don't know how to like totally dance around that, or like they dance around it. They don't know how to like incorporate us into something. Like, so for instance, if I'm watching if I'm watching like a Fantastic Beast, I'm like, man, there's only like one Black guy in this. But it's like, I guess they try to be accurate of like, well, even though this is fantasy London, like, you know, we have to be true to, you know, reality a little bit. But I'm just like for instance, like, man, I love Game of Thrones, but I knew it was gonna be bullshit. I knew it was gonna be bullshit. I knew it was gonna have a bullshit ending because I felt like the beginning was bullshit because ain't no Black people in there, and people want to argue that there are Black people in there, and I'm like, okay, check this out. There's not a lot of Black people in there, but there is one Black person. I mean, there is a Black pirate, a pirate. So in his job description, what do pirates do? They're not senators. They're not like the most law-abiding. They're not like, you know,
it's kind of like film and media has this standard of whatever you do, whatever you create, don't disrupt the fact that we need niggas to feel like this is their only story. Because if you start putting them into other stories, they're going to start to feel like there's something incorrect into what we've been telling them.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know like how like I sometimes I feel like there might be a struggle too with like, you know, how do we just display Black people as they are in this story, or just like as people, without relating them to some type of struggle. Like for instance, I forget the name of this show that I watched on Amazon with Orlando Bloom, but it had something to do with like fairies and orcs and male goats, or like human goats and stuff like that. Like it was like this fantasy, and it was just like undertones, like small undertones, like big undertones, really though, like really big things. Like for instance, there was this one character, because they had like werewolves. There was one character that was friends with the lead character. They were childhood friends, but the friend was Black, and he got bit by a werewolf back when they were like fighting this war. Like they were soldiers in the army together. And when he got back home side or stateside, he had to live in a prison because they didn't know how to take care of a guy that turns to a werewolf. So it's a story about humans living with different walks of life, which what does that sound like? But the werewolf had to live in a prison. The Black dude had to live in a prison. He wasn't like, and then the thing was, when he was filmed, it wasn't like it was like this they had like this furry guy. It was like he's a Black guy, and they kind of made reference to, okay, you know, the moon's out tonight. Yeah. And then of course you would see him turn, but by all accord, he was a Black guy in prison. And it's like, okay, so that, and then they had this one character where he was a puck. So I guess a puck is like a man from the waist up and a goat from like the waist down. And he just happened to be a Black guy, and he was a rich puck. So he was the richest person. Not only was he a puck, but he was the richest person in this neighborhood, and everyone was like upset about it. And it's like, what does that sound like? What does that reminiscent?
Yes, to? Okay.
Perhaps a rapper who lives like in this, like in Calabasas.
You have to find what that is and send it to me, because I do have Amazon. They do have some good shows on that. But again, with film, I feel like people of a brown and dark brown skin tone, because I've never seen any of us be actually black. We have to do different. If we want different, we have to do different. You can't constantly show up as, you know, the extra friend of the hood guy, and the one that's in the backseat of the car or the drive-by, and the one that's selling drugs on the corner, or whatever, and take those roles and then say they need to portray more Black people as like the mad scientist or the astronaut.
This is the thing
you're taking those roles. You gotta stop saying yes to those roles for whatever money they're giving you, and be like, I have enough credit in my background to do this role, and this is the role that I want.
Yeah, the name of the show is Carnival Row.
Carnival.
Okay. But yeah, because like that's one thing I'll be telling people, like, you know, I don't care for no damn Quentin Tarantino movies. Like it's a shame. It's a shame. It's almost like being told that you, like, you know, like you're gluten free. Like, I can admit that, you know, bread is nice. I like bread. You have a nice bread.
And like Oprah. Hey Oprah.
Yeah. Right. Oprah's bank account. But also too, like, I have to give it up. And I like his films. I can admit that his films are nice. They have this one thing that I can't get with.
Yeah.
And it's nigga. It's an N-word.
Yeah.
And people want to have all types of arguments about it, but I'm like, let's go ahead and cut the fat and get straight to the heart of the thing. You know what's so unique about Quentin Tarantino? Not only is he a director, not only is he a director, but he writes. Well, he writes he writes the scripts.
Yes.
So the movie doesn't really call. He always says like the movie called for it. It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You can admit that.
Yeah.
You're the one writing it.
Yeah.
It's coming from your brain.
Right.
Art imitates life. And for some reason, you want to
bring that
life,
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, into this art.
Don't forget that N word. I need that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I'm thinking. I remember like just being a kid and just being like, like watching Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. And it was like that was the first chord with me. I'm like, I'm loving Pulp Fiction. Like, I'm loving Pulp Fiction to a point. There were some parts that I was just like,
you had to show that.
Well, we could talk about something about that too, because he did it all in that movie.
Oh yeah.
But the first thing was like the guy who got shot, right? So there's a black guy that got shot accidentally. So they kill this black guy, and then they have to. I think Tarantino and Samuel Jackson's character has to take it take this guy to their friend's house, who's Quentin Tarantino, this white guy.
Yeah.
And he's having this argument, of course, like everyone would. Like if you brought like a dead person to my house, I'm kind of freaking out, like, what, you got this? But I would be like, you got this dead nigger in my house.
Yeah.
Like I was like, what?
There's like 10 other words you could have used other than that.
Yeah, like this dead nigger in my house. Like what person says that? Like I mean, I'm sure there are people who do that, but think about this. Like you're a black guy, your white friend is comfortable with saying a dead nigger in my house.
And that's not reality.
My friend wouldn't say that. No associate of mine would be.
And you got to be close friends in order to bring a dead man to your house.
Yeah.
So what is that saying?
Now if he wrote in the scene that the way that I could see that happening is if someone took a story and they were basically relaying it, giving you portions of it, and it actually did happen.
Yeah.
I would see that as I brought a person over to my house. I mean, to my friend's house who was black, who was dead, and he said nigger, and I slapped that dude, and there was a conflict there. But it was just like, but it was almost like the character was treated like, okay, calm down. Like, who says that?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, of course, later on in the scene, saying Big Rain's character being
I'm just like, we know of this. We've seen enough of this. Why did you have to have this in the movie?
But listen, like that's another thing, a polarizing thing. Big Rain's big black man, big muscular man, powerful man in this character,
breaking that
butt
back,
fucked, getting butt fucked. Like, but he had to show that. Yeah, and that's like, in like the first time I saw that shit, and I heard his response to the criticism about the N-word followed throughout. The movie called for, okay, all right, so now we're watching the Dreadful Eight or the Hateful Eight, and it's like,
I never watched that.
They saying the N-word there. I was like, does it call for that? They were watching Inglourious Bastards, and like he made it a point. Now this is based in Germany. He made it a point for them to say N-word, and I'm like, I'm not sure they were actually slinging that word around like that. Like, but could the movie or the story actually play out without it? It like the back of that movie was not resting on the N-word. Like, man, we got to get this right.
I look at it like when filmmakers or directors do that, I look at it like you're trying to make sure you could high five everybody in the room that watches this film. So if you didn't use a black actor, or you did, you can high five black people. If you said something racially controversial, you can then high five everybody who's against other races, because you put in a section for them too. And it's kind of like, you can't make a film to please everybody, but you can make art to get your vision across, and it doesn't have to be like that to be controversial, because there are so many levels of being Black and Black people that are controversial, and that N word is nothing but a trigger. It's a trigger to get something out of somebody. For instance, like the Zoom I was just on before we started recording, they came on there and their word to catch everybody's attention that was in that Zoom, those 200 some people, was the N word, and putting like cuss words on the screen and yelling and doing something sexual. And it's kind of like, I know Black people don't like that word. And I know that word is like go to for everybody that wants to get on a Black person's nerves or get under somebody's skin who they think is Black, because everybody that has a dark skin tone is not necessarily African or quote unquote Black, as they would say in America. I feel like they're just looking for a rise out of you. And you get way further as a brown skinned person or a dark skinned person in the world when that word stops triggering you to act or move or say something or give them a rise.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, which it got heated.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the Black word. I mean, nigga, and I
Yeah.
was saying like, I was making a comment on how like there was like this a coworker of mine and this Indian dude,
Mm-hmm.
Raheem, and he was really saying the N word. He was like, "Yeah, my nigga, no, Jordan had the best. Nah, my
Yeah.
nigga, like you gonna say?" I was like, "Yo, chill. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing around here?"
Mm.
And the conversation was like kind of like geared towards like the younger the kids get, it's like it doesn't mean the same. And I was like,
Yeah.
so this other guy, I guess they went to like college together. This other guy was like, I personally don't have anything against it. Like, it don't mean nothing to me. Like I grew up with blah 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 blah. That's the argument they always
A
say.
Black guy.
And, light skinned dude though. but
He only gets 2
but
points.
but I was just like, and her whole argument was like, well, because my thing was like, I was like, look, man, this is my take on it. I don't care what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna advise that you say that. You ain't gonna say that around me.
That's right.
Because outside of me taking offense to it, if you my boy, like
You would have
what it's almost
respect
like
enough not to say it around me and have me
well,
question it.
it's also like I'll be doing you wrong by telling you that you're okay
Say
to
it.
say that because you may be good here, but
Mm-hmm.
see, my black, I have a black card. I
Mm-hmm.
could go into different neighborhoods. I'll still get checked at the door. I still got to check in,
Mm-hmm.
but you a guest.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying to me, I don't advise you to go to certain neighborhoods and say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we over here in Stone Mountain saying this shit, but I don't think you can go to Cascade and say that, my friend.
Nope.
Like, so that's why I wouldn't be doing my job. I feel like my blackness will come into question if I allow you to be slinging that, knowing that like, hey, I'm not always gonna be with you. That's why people always be saying like, I feel like people reference like, well, I say it around my friends or the guys I grew up with. But here's the thing: are your your friends that you grow up with? Are they next to you right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did they travel with you in life? They, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not gonna fly. And so that's why I was just like, hey, you ain't saying that the shit around me
Mm-hmm.
because who would I look like? What would I be if I let you say that? That's just for your own safety. That's we're not even addressing how uncomfortable that makes me, but still.
Mm-hmm.
But her whole thing was just like, but why do black people have to have ownership of that? Why would you want to? And I'm telling her in this conversation, hey, I'm not gonna go into like, the deepness of it and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I admit that, hey, that innate feeling of being like, yo, I will knock your ass out for saying that. Like, that's just, I'm telling you, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other people will feel that. So not every black guy, but you know what I'm saying, you might find that one or two guys, I guess, it's like, okay, what you saying it. But I know that if you're saying it in this particular neighborhood, you can't. I know you ain't gonna be able to
my level, everybody's level of ignorance is different. My level of tolerating ignorance is like
well, that's a see,
staircase.
that's a good point. You know why it's like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know why it's like that? because in film they have this thing called the third wall, right? And it's that point of, I guess, narration between, like, character to character, but now the character is talking to the audience. I feel like with social media and where we're at, there is no level of ignorance. Like, ignorance is to suppose that you didn't know. You just misspoke.
Yeah.
You didn't know. No, you saw it before. You saw that book and was like, "Oh, that's boring. I'm not going there." And then because of that, you chose ignorance at this point.
Yeah.
The good, like, you knew about this subject matter. You knew about, how could you not know about how Black people are getting treated and understand, like, and not understand this stuff? You knew about it. You just you ain't going there. So I feel like that there is no ignorance at this age. You know what I'm saying? We got the internets now. Like, things are, I think there's a silent fight between, like, now we're in a moment where, like, because of exposure, like, people have access, white people have access to these songs, or this culture, and so therefore, like,
they feel like everything we say as Black people is okay for them to say. And until labels stop saying, you know what, we can go ahead and clear this song, but you said X, Y, and Z, we're gonna have to figure out another word or take that completely out. It will always be this muscle that we have to massage within our brown-skinned children to say, don't you ever allow yourself to be around anyone and let them use this word. This is where this word comes from. And we can't be the only ones, when I say we, parents of children of a dark skin tone, because you can be a different ethnicity. We can't be the only ones massaging that history of that word and why it should never be said among other people by ourselves. It's kind of like, I can't just educate my kids because they're brown. Everybody needs to be educated. And once everybody's educated, like, everybody's free reign to get that thing slapped.
Yeah. But see, also too, the N-word is, I think there's a struggle between, like, owning it and then, like, owning it, because, like, we don't own it. Like any other thing that we've gotten. There's a lot of stuff that we invented. There's things that we actually, they had it and we took it, or we got in it,
or we feel like we took it.
Or like for instance, like basketball. You know what I'm saying? They gave us basketball and then we made that shit ours. That wasn't ours initially.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we made that shit ours. But we don't own it though. No. That's how I feel about the N-word. Like nigga, we don't own that. Like, we can say it all we want, but we don't own.
You mean like football and the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday?
Right.
That Black people are disgustedly treated less than with, but that boy on that field sure does make me some money. That man on the field sure does like what I pay him each year for him to play football. And you can't have no Black owners in the NFL. That's completely out of the question. You lost your goddamn mind.
Cause my thing, like, I was telling my friend, I was like, come on, man, I'm not like, it's not lost on me that we don't own the N-word. Like, because, like, you and I say the N-word, but like celebrities, like rappers, you think about it, if you don't own your publishing, like, how could you own the N-word? Because it's like, they don't have to say it. That's the thing. Like, a Black person, I mean, a white man does not have to say it. Like, so this whole thing of like, you can't say it and blah, 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 that's fine. I still get paid off of it, because you're saying the word is in this rap that in this long list of words that you are saying that I own. And you're profiting a fraction of it, but I'm getting the lion's share. Like, I own, they actually own it. Like, like, you and I get to say the word for free, but you know what I'm saying, some you know what I'm saying, slack jaw director by the name of Quentin Tarantino can take some time out of his day. Who knows how long it takes him to turn out a movie, but write it up, get funding for it, and have it there. You get paid off of it. Like we truly don't own it. It's like almost symbolic to everything else. Like, yeah, we created blues.
So would you say it's similar to Black people owning the block or gangbangers owning the block? That's my block. Why you on my block? But you're not getting no residual income from this street. I want to thank you for coming through. She gets it, show part 2 is on the way. So it's not finished. We did continue this talk. Please check out part 2. Peace.